I need to tell you about the day my mother called me a traitor to my own blood. Not because of what I did, but because of who I refused to abandon. They gave me an ultimatum, him or them. My husband or my family. Choose. I chose him. And then, well. Then karma decided to write its own ending. Let me take you back to the beginning. Not the beginning you think, not the wedding, not the engagement. The real beginning. The moment I realized my family's love had terms and conditions I never signed up for. My name is Sarah. I'm 32 years old. I work in marketing for a tech startup. I recycle. I volunteer at the animal shelter on weekends. I'm a good person. An ordinary person. The kind of daughter who called home every Sunday, who never forgot a birthday, who showed up to every family dinner with a homemade dessert and a smile. That's who I am. But that's not who they saw. What they saw was a disappointment. A rebel. A woman who had committed the ultimate betrayal by falling in love with the wrong man. His name is Marcus. He's a high school teacher. He coaches the debate team. He cries during Pixar movies. He makes terrible puns that make me groan and laugh at the same time. He's kind. He's patient. He's the best human being I've ever known. But to my family, he had 3 unforgivable flaws. 1. He wasn't the same race as us. 2. He wasn't the same religion. 3. He existed. We met 5 years ago at a mutual friend's wedding. I was the bridesmaid who caught the bouquet. He was the groomsman who made a joke about how catching flowers didn't mean we had to get married, but maybe we could start with coffee. I said yes to the coffee. Then I said yes to dinner. Then I said yes to a second date. Then a third. By the time I realized I was falling in love with him, it was too late to protect my heart. And honestly, I didn't want to. For 6 months, I kept him a secret. Not because I was ashamed, God, never that, but because I knew. I knew what was coming. I could already hear my mother's voice in my head, could already see the disappointment in my father's eyes, could already feel the cold shoulder from my siblings. I knew telling them about Marcus would detonate a bomb in the middle of our family. I just didn't realize how big the explosion would be. The day I told them, we were all gathered at my parents' house for Sunday dinner. My mom had made her famous lasagna. The kitchen smelled like garlic and tomatoes and basil. My dad was in his usual spot at the head of the table. My 2 brothers and my sister were there with their spouses. Everyone was laughing, passing dishes, talking over each other the way we always did. It felt safe. Familiar. I thought maybe. If I told them in this warm, loving environment, surrounded by the smell of home and the sound of family, they would surprise me. They would see how happy I was. They would want that for me. I was so naive. So, I said, my voice cutting through the chatter. I have something to tell you all. The table went quiet. All eyes turned to me. My mother smiled. What is it, honey? I took a breath. I've been seeing someone. For 6 months now. And it's serious. Really serious. My sister squealed. Oh my God, Sarah. That's amazing. What's his name? Marcus, I said. His name is Marcus. And he's wonderful. I've never been this happy. My mother's smile didn't falter, but something shifted in her eyes. Marcus, she repeated. That's nice. Tell us about him. He's a teacher, I said. He works at Lincoln High. He teaches English and coaches the debate team. He's kind and funny and smart, and I think you're all going to love him. What's his last name? My father asked. His voice was casual, but I could hear the edge underneath. Richardson, I said. Silence. The kind of silence that has weight. That presses down on your chest and makes it hard to breathe. Richardson, my mother repeated slowly. Is he? What background is he? And there it was. The question I knew was coming. The question that shouldn't matter but somehow mattered more than anything else. He's black, I said quietly. If that's what you're asking. My mother set down her fork. The clink of metal on ceramic was the loudest sound in the world. I see, she said. And his family? My father asked. What do they do? His mom is a nurse. His dad passed away when he was 12. He has a younger sister who's in college. What religion? My brother James asked. He was raised Baptist, but he's not really religious anymore. Neither am I, if we're being honest. My mother stood up. Just pushed her chair back and stood, her hands pressed flat against the table. Excuse me, she said. I need a moment. She walked out of the dining room. I heard her footsteps on the stairs. Heard the bedroom door close. My father cleared his throat. Sarah, I think you need to consider what you're doing here. What I'm doing? I repeated. I'm dating someone I care about. That's what I'm doing. You're dating outside your culture, he said. Outside your faith. This isn't how we raised you. You raised me to be kind, I shot back. To judge people by their character. To treat everyone with respect. That's exactly what I'm doing. There's a difference between respect and marriage, my sister said quietly. Who said anything about marriage? You said it was serious, James said. What else could that mean? I looked around the table at my family. At these people who had known me my entire life. Who had celebrated every birthday, every achievement, every milestone with me. And I saw strangers. I love him, I said. I love Marcus. And yes, I can see a future with him. I can see marriage and a life together. And I wanted to share that with you because you're my family and I thought you'd be happy for me. My father shook his head. Sarah, you need to think about what this means. Think about your future children. Think about the difficulties they'll face. Think about how this will look to our community, to our extended family. I don't care how it looks, I said, my voice rising. I care about how it feels. And it feels right. He feels right. Then you're not thinking clearly, my father said. The bedroom door opened upstairs. My mother's footsteps descended. She came back into the dining room with red eyes and a set jaw. I need you to end it, she said. No preamble. No gentleness. Just a command. What? End it. This relationship. It's not appropriate. It's not what we want for you. It's not what you want, I said. But it's what I want. It's my life. You're part of this family, she said. And that means something. That comes with responsibilities. With expectations. I'm not ending it, Mom. She crossed her arms. Then we have a problem. The only problem, I said, standing up now too, is that you're more concerned about what other people think than about my happiness. That's not fair, my sister said. Isn't it? I looked at her. Would you be saying this if I'd brought home someone who looked like us? Who went to our church? She didn't answer. That's what I thought, I said. I grabbed my purse and my coat. Where are you going? My mother demanded. Home, I said. To Marcus. To the person who actually cares about me without conditions. Sarah, if you walk out that door. What, Mom? What are you going to do? She lifted her chin. You need to choose. Him or this family. You can't have both. I felt something break inside my chest. Something that had been holding me together my entire life. Then I choose him, I said. And I walked out. The weeks that followed were the worst of my life. My mother called once. Just once. 3 days after the dinner. Have you come to your senses? She asked when I picked up. If by that you mean have I dumped the love of my life to make you happy, then no. Then we have nothing more to discuss, she said. And she hung up. My sister texted me a few times. Pleading messages. Just think about it. Mom is really hurt. This is tearing the family apart. I didn't respond. My brothers didn't reach out at all. The silence was deafening. I'd gone from talking to my family every day to nothing. Complete radio silence. I wasn't invited to my nephew's birthday party. I wasn't copied on the family email chain about Thanksgiving plans. I was erased. Marcus held me when I cried. He offered to step back, to give me space to figure things out. Don't you dare, I told him. This isn't your fault. This is their prejudice, their small-mindedness. Don't you dare take responsibility for their failure. He proposed 3 months later. We were on a walk in the park near his apartment. The leaves were changing colors, gold and orange and red, so beautiful it hurt. We stopped by the pond where ducks were swimming lazy circles in the water. Sarah, he said, taking my hand. I know this year has been hard. I know you've lost so much because of me. Not because of you, I interrupted. Because of us, he corrected. And I need you to know that I see that sacrifice. I honor it. And I want to spend the rest of my life making sure you never regret choosing me. He got down on one knee right there, in front of the ducks and the joggers and the old couple feeding birds on the bench. Marry me, he said. Let's build a family of our own. One that's built on love and acceptance and choice. I said yes through tears. We planned a small wedding. Just friends. His family. His mom cried happy tears and hugged me so tight I couldn't breathe. His sister made a toast about how she'd never seen her brother so happy. I didn't send an invitation to my family. But I did send an announcement after the wedding. A simple card with a photo from our ceremony. Me in my white dress. Marcus in his navy suit. Both of us smiling like we'd won the lottery. Underneath, we got married. We're happy. We wish you could have been there. I didn't expect a response. I certainly didn't expect what came instead. 6 months after the wedding, I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. Hello? Sarah? It's Aunt Linda. My mother's sister. I hadn't spoken to her since the family dinner from hell. Aunt Linda, I said cautiously. Hi. I need to talk to you about something, she said. Her voice was strange. Tight. Can we meet for coffee? I don't know if that's a good idea. Please, she said. It's important. It's about your family. Something in her tone made my stomach drop. Is someone hurt? I asked. No. Nothing like that. But I really need to talk to you. Face to face. We met the next day at a cafe downtown. Aunt Linda was already there when I arrived, sitting in a corner booth with a coffee she wasn't drinking. She looked older than I remembered. Tired. Thanks for coming, she said as I slid into the booth across from her. What's this about? I asked. She took a breath. I need to tell you something. Something I should have told you a long time ago, but I was afraid. And complicit. And wrong. I waited. Your family's reaction to Marcus, she said. It wasn't just about prejudice. I mean, yes, that was part of it. But there was something else. Something your mother never wanted you to know. I don't understand. Aunt Linda reached into her purse and pulled out an old photograph. She slid it across the table. I picked it up. It was a picture of my mother. Young, maybe 22 or 23. She was laughing, her arms wrapped around a man I didn't recognize. A black man. I stared at the photo. Who is this? His name was David, Aunt Linda said quietly. Your mother dated him for 2 years before she met your father. The world tilted. What? She was in love with him, Aunt Linda continued. Completely, head over heels in love. She talked about marrying him. But your grandmother, your mother's mother, gave her the same ultimatum she gave you. Him or the family. I couldn't breathe. Mom chose the family, Aunt Linda said. She ended it with David. She married your father 6 months later. And she's regretted it every day of her life. That's... I couldn't find words. That's insane. If she went through that, if she knows what it feels like, why would she do the same thing to me? Because she's bitter, Aunt Linda said bluntly. Because she spent 35 years in a marriage with a man she respects but doesn't love. Because seeing you choose differently, choose love over family approval, it forced her to confront her own regret. And instead of being happy for you, instead of supporting you, she wanted you to suffer the same way she has. I set the photo down with shaking hands. Does Dad know? About David? No. Your mother never told him. As far as he knows, he was her first serious relationship. And my siblings? They don't know either. Just me. And now you. Why are you telling me this now? Aunt Linda's eyes filled with tears. Because your mother has been making herself sick over this. She won't admit it, but I can see it. She misses you. She regrets what she did. But her pride won't let her reach out. And I thought you deserved to know the truth. To understand that this was never really about you or Marcus. It was about her own pain. I sat there in that coffee shop for a long time after Aunt Linda left, staring at the photograph of my mother with a man she loved and lost. Part of me felt vindicated. Understanding the why behind her cruelty. But mostly, I just felt sad. Sad for my mother, who had spent decades living a half-life. Sad for David, whoever he was, who had lost someone who loved him. Sad for my father, who had never known he was second choice. Sad for all of us, trapped in this cycle of family pressure and sacrificed happiness. I took the photo home. Showed it to Marcus. What do you want to do? He asked after I told him everything. I don't know, I said honestly. Part of me wants to call her. To tell her I know. To try to. I don't know. Bridge this gap. And the other part? The other part thinks she made her choice, and I made mine, and maybe that's just how it is. Marcus pulled me close. Whatever you decide, I'm with you. I didn't call my mother that night. Or the next day. But I thought about it. God, I thought about it constantly. 3 weeks later, I found out I was pregnant. Marcus and I hadn't been trying, but we weren't being careful either. We'd talked about kids eventually. Someday. The abstract future. Suddenly, someday was now. I sat on the bathroom floor, staring at the positive pregnancy test, and the first thought I had was, my mom would want to know. The second thought was, but she chose not to be part of this. I cried. Happy tears and sad tears all mixed together until I couldn't tell which was which. Marcus found me there 20 minutes later. He looked at the test in my hand, and his face broke into the biggest smile I'd ever seen. We're having a baby? He whispered. I nodded. He sat down next to me on the bathroom floor and cried too. I didn't tell my family about the pregnancy. But apparently, Aunt Linda did. Because 4 months in, when I was just starting to show, my mother appeared at my door. I opened it to find her standing on my porch, holding a wrapped gift, looking smaller somehow than I remembered. Hi, she said. Hi, I replied. We stared at each other. Can I come in? She asked. I wanted to say no. Wanted to close the door in her face the way she'd closed her heart to me. But I stepped aside and let her enter. She stood awkwardly in my living room, looking around at the life I'd built without her. The photos of Marcus and me on the walls. The wedding picture on the mantel. The baby books on the coffee table. Linda told me, she said finally. About the baby. She shouldn't have. I'm glad she did. My mother looked at me. Really looked at me. You're happy? It wasn't a question, but I answered anyway. Yes. I'm very happy. Good. She held out the wrapped gift. This is for the baby. I took it. Unwrapped it slowly. It was a hand-knit baby blanket. Soft yellow yarn with tiny white flowers embroidered along the border. The kind of thing that takes hours and hours of careful work. Did you make this? I asked. She nodded. I've been working on it since Linda told me. I thought maybe. She trailed off. You thought maybe what? I thought maybe it wasn't too late, she said quietly. Maybe I could still be part of your life. Part of my grandchild's life. I wanted to be cruel. Wanted to throw her words back at her. You gave me an ultimatum. You told me to choose. I did. Why should I let you back in now? But when I opened my mouth, what came out was, why did you do it? Do what? Why did you make me choose? When you know what it's like to be in my position? Her face crumbled. Linda told you. About David? Yes. My mother sat down heavily on my couch. I was young. I was stupid. I let my mother control my life because I was afraid. Afraid of being cut off, afraid of being alone, afraid of disappointing everyone. And you wanted me to make the same mistake? No. She looked up at me with red eyes. Yes. I don't know. When you told us about Marcus, all I could see was myself at your age. In love with someone my family didn't approve of. And I remembered how that ended. How much it hurt. And I think part of me wanted to save you from that pain. By causing different pain? By making sure you chose the safe path. The family. The approval. The misery, I added. She flinched. I'm not miserable. Aren't you? Silence. I love your father, she said finally. Maybe not the way I loved David, but I do love him. We've built a good life together. But you wonder, I said. You wonder what your life would have been like if you'd chosen differently. A single tear slid down her cheek. Every single day. I sat down next to her on the couch. Not touching, but close. I chose Marcus, I said. And I would choose him again every single time. Even knowing I'd lose you. Even knowing I'd lose everyone. Because the pain of losing him would have been worse than the pain of losing you. I know, she whispered. I can see that. I see how you look at him. How he looks at you. And it's... She took a shaky breath. It's beautiful. And it makes me so angry I could scream. Not at you. At myself. At my own cowardice. So why are you here? I asked. Why now? Because I don't want to make the same mistake twice, she said. I already lost the man I loved. I don't want to lose my daughter too. And I don't want to miss watching my grandchild grow up because I was too proud to admit I was wrong. You hurt me, I said. My voice cracked. You really, really hurt me. I know. And I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, Sarah. I looked at this woman who had given birth to me, raised me, shaped so much of who I was. This woman who was flawed and scared and human. One chance, I said. You get one chance. You be in my life, in my child's life, but there are rules. You respect my husband. You respect my marriage. You never make my child feel like they're less than because of who their father is or what they look like. The second you cross that line, you're done. Forever. Do you understand? She nodded frantically. Yes. Yes, I understand. I promise. And you need to tell Dad. About David. About all of it. No more secrets. No more lies. Her face went pale. Sarah. That's the deal. Take it or leave it. She was quiet for a long moment. Then, okay. I'll tell him. She did tell him. And according to Aunt Linda, who called me the next day with all the details, it did not go well. There was yelling. My father felt betrayed, lied to for decades. He moved into the guest room. They went to counseling. But he didn't leave. And slowly, painfully, they started to work through it. My siblings were more complicated. James was furious with me for destroying our family. My sister was caught between understanding my mother's position and being horrified by the lie she'd lived with. My younger brother, Tom, was the only one who reached out directly. I'm sorry, he texted. For not supporting you. For letting Mom and Dad dictate how I should feel about your marriage. Marcus seems like a good guy, and you deserve to be happy. Can I meet him? Properly? I cried when I read that message. We had dinner the next week. Tom and his wife, Marcus, and me. We ate Thai food and laughed and talked about everything and nothing. At the end of the night, Tom hugged Marcus and said, "Welcome to the family, man." It was a start. My mother started coming to Sunday dinners at our house. Just her at first. My father eventually joined, awkward and stilted but trying. She kept her promise. She was respectful to Marcus. She cooed over my growing belly. She helped me paint the nursery. We didn't talk about David again. But the knowledge of him hung between us, a ghost of what might have been and what was lost. My daughter was born on a rainy Tuesday in March. 7 pounds, 3 ounces. Perfect in every way. Marcus cried. I cried. The nurse cried. My mother was in the waiting room, having driven over the moment I went into labor. When they brought my daughter out to meet her grandmother for the first time, my mother took one look at her tiny face and whispered, "She's beautiful. She's absolutely perfect." Her name is Lily, I said. Lily Grace. My mother held her granddaughter, tears streaming down her face, and I knew she was thinking about all the might-have-beens. The baby she might have had with David. The life she might have lived. But this was the life we had. Messy and complicated and built on the wreckage of old regrets. It was enough. Lily is 2 years old now. She has my eyes and Marcus's smile and a personality bigger than both of us combined. My family is still fractured in some ways. James keeps his distance. My sister comes around occasionally, but there's a wariness there that never quite goes away. But Tom is Uncle Tom, beloved and present. My parents are Grandma and Grandpa, showing up for birthdays and holidays and random Tuesday afternoons. Marcus's family is our foundation. His mother babysits every Thursday. His sister takes Lily to the zoo and spoils her rotten. We're building something new. A family that's chosen, not just given. A family built on love rather than obligation. My mother and I still have difficult moments. Times when I catch her looking at Marcus with an expression I can't quite read. Times when she makes a comment that feels loaded with old prejudices. But she catches herself now. Apologizes. Tries. Last month, we were all at the park, me, Marcus, Lily, my parents, Tom and his wife. We were having a picnic, watching Lily chase ducks with single-minded determination. My mother leaned over to me and said, "You were right to choose him." I looked at her in surprise. "I mean it," she said. "I watch you two together, and I see what I missed. What I gave up. And I'm grateful you were braver than I was." "I wasn't brave," I said. "I was just in love." "That's the same thing," she said quietly. My father overheard and reached over to take my mother's hand. She looked at him with an expression that was complicated, regret and affection and resignation all mixed together. He'd forgiven her, I think. Or was trying to. They were making it work in whatever way they could. It wasn't the fairy tale ending where everyone hugs and all is forgiven and we live happily ever after. It was real. It was messy. It was human. Sometimes I think about what would have happened if I'd chosen differently that night at the Sunday dinner. If I'd ended things with Marcus to keep my family's approval. I'd probably be married to someone they picked out. Someone appropriate. Someone who fit into their narrow box of acceptable. I'd probably have kids who looked like me. I'd probably have my mother's life, comfortable but hollow. Loved but not loving. And every day, I'd wonder what might have been. Instead, I wake up next to the love of my life. I watch my daughter grow into a fierce, beautiful little human who will never have to choose between love and family because we're teaching her they're the same thing. I've learned that family isn't just blood. It's not just the people you're born to. It's the people who show up. Who support you. Who love you without conditions. Marcus is my family. Lily is my family. Tom is my family. Marcus's mother and sister are my family. And yes, my parents are trying to be family too. In their imperfect, struggling way. The disownment threat my mother made that night? It did happen. For almost a year, I was cut off from everyone I'd grown up with. But then what happened, happened. The truth came out. The lies unraveled. The family secrets that had been buried for decades rose to the surface. And in that rubble, in that mess, we found a chance to build something different. Not better, necessarily. Not fixed. But honest. Real. Mine. I'm telling you this story now because I want you to know something. If you're facing a similar choice, love or family approval, I can't tell you what to do. I can't promise it will work out the way it did for me. I can't guarantee that your family will come around or that the ending will be happy. But I can tell you this. Choosing the person you love, choosing your own happiness, choosing to build the life you want rather than the life others expect, that's not selfish. That's brave. That's right. And whatever happens after you make that choice, you'll be able to look at yourself in the mirror and know you were true to yourself. You didn't let fear or pressure or guilt make your decisions for you. You chose love. And that matters. My mother spent 35 years regretting her choice. 35 years wondering what if. I'll never have to wonder. I know exactly what my life would have been without Marcus, and I know exactly what it is with him. And I choose this. Every single day, I choose this. The family that threatened to disown me? They're still in my life, in various capacities, working through their own issues and prejudices. But even if they weren't, even if they'd kept their threat and I'd never spoken to them again, I would still choose Marcus. I would still choose love. Because at the end of your life, you don't regret the relationships you fought for. You regret the ones you let go of because someone else told you to. My mother learned that lesson too late. I learned it just in time. And now my daughter will grow up knowing it from the start, that love is worth fighting for. That your happiness matters. That sometimes the family you choose is just as important, if not more so, than the family you're born into. That's what happened when my family threatened to disown me and my husband. I called their bluff. I chose love over approval. And I got to build a life I'm proud of with a man I'm grateful for every single day. The threat of disownment was supposed to be the worst thing that could happen to me. Instead, it became the catalyst for the best thing. It forced me to choose. And I chose right. But let me tell you about the moments they don't show in the movies. The moments between choosing love and living happily ever after. Because that gap? That's where the real story lives. 3 months after Lily was born, my father asked Marcus to go fishing with him. I remember Marcus coming home and telling me about the invitation, his face a mixture of surprise and anxiety. "What do you think he wants?" Marcus asked, pacing our living room while Lily napped in her bassinet. "To talk," I said. "Probably to talk." "About what?" About everything he hasn't said for the past 2 years. Marcus went. Of course he went. Because that's who he is, someone who faces uncomfortable situations head-on, who believes in the power of conversation and understanding. They were gone for 6 hours. When Marcus came home, his eyes were red. Not from crying, exactly, but from something close to it. What happened? I asked immediately. He sat down on the couch, pulled me close. Your dad, he apologized. I felt my breath catch. He what? He apologized. For everything. For the ultimatum, for the silence, for making you choose. He said he'd spent the last 2 years thinking about what kind of man forces his daughter to pick between her family and her happiness. And he didn't like the answer. What did you say? I told him I appreciated it. That I knew it took courage to say that. And then he asked me. Marcus paused, his voice getting thick. He asked me to forgive him. Not just for what he did to you, but for what he did to me. For judging me without knowing me. For treating me like I was somehow less worthy of his daughter's love because of the color of my skin. A tear rolled down my cheek. And did you? Forgive him? I'm trying, Marcus said honestly. I told him that forgiveness isn't a switch you flip. It's a choice you make over and over. And I'm choosing to give him the chance to earn it. What did he say to that? He said that's all he could ask for. And then? Marcus smiled slightly. Then we actually caught some fish. And he told me about when you were little. About how you used to bring home every injured animal you found. About how you cried for a week when your hamster died in 3rd grade. I laughed through my tears. He told you about Mr. Whiskers? He showed me a picture. You, 8 years old, holding a hamster funeral in the backyard complete with a shoebox casket and a eulogy. I was very serious about that funeral. He said that's when he knew you had a big heart. That you felt things deeply. And that's why this whole situation hurt so much, because he knew you'd be devastated by the choice you had to make, but he didn't know how to back down once he'd taken a stand. Pride, I said softly. Pride, Marcus agreed. The thing that destroys more families than anything else. That fishing trip was a turning point. Not the whole solution, but the beginning of one. My father started showing up more. Started engaging with Marcus about teaching, about sports, about life. Started being a grandfather who actually participated instead of just observed. But my mother's journey was more complicated. 8 months after Lily was born, I found my mother crying in our nursery. I'd come upstairs to check on the baby during a family dinner, and there was my mother, sitting in the rocking chair, holding Lily while tears streamed down her face. Mom? I said softly from the doorway. She looked up, startled, quickly wiping at her eyes. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. What's wrong? She looked down at Lily, who was sleeping peacefully in her arms. I was just thinking about David. I came into the room, sat on the floor beside the rocking chair. What about him? We would have had beautiful children, she said quietly. Mixed, like Lily. And I wonder what they would have looked like. What they would have been like. Mom. I know I shouldn't think about it. I know I made my choice and I have to live with it. But holding Lily, seeing how perfect she is, how loved she is, it makes me think about all the children I never had. The life I never lived. Do you regret marrying Dad? I asked carefully. She was quiet for a long time. I don't regret your father. He's a good man. He's been a good husband in many ways. We've built a life together. We raised 4 children, wonderful children, despite all our flaws. I don't regret that. But I regret the why, she said. I regret that I married him because I was supposed to, not because I couldn't imagine my life without him. I regret that every major decision in my life was made out of fear instead of love. And I regret. Her voice cracked. I regret that I almost made you make the same mistake. I reached up and took her hand. You didn't, though. I didn't make that mistake. Because you were braver than me. Because I had you as an example, I said. I saw what happened when you chose obligation over love. And I knew I didn't want that life. She looked at me with such raw pain in her eyes. I'm so proud of you, Sarah. And so angry at myself. You can't change the past, Mom. You can only choose what you do now. I know. She looked back down at Lily. This little girl will never have to choose. I'm going to make sure of it. She's going to grow up knowing that love is love, that skin color doesn't matter, that the only thing that matters is the content of someone's character. She'll be lucky to have you teach her that. My mother smiled sadly. I should have learned it myself 35 years ago. The thing about family reconciliation is that it's not linear. It's not a straight path from estrangement to harmony. It's messy and complicated and full of setbacks. 6 months later, we had our first major fight since the reconciliation. It was Lily's second birthday party. We'd invited both sides of the family, my parents, my siblings, Marcus's mom and sister. Everyone was supposed to be celebrating together. My brother James showed up with his wife and kids, but barely spoke to Marcus the entire party. He was polite but cold, interacting with Lily but avoiding any real conversation with my husband. I watched it happening, felt my anger building with each ignored greeting, each turned shoulder. Finally, when James was getting ready to leave, I cornered him by the door. What is your problem? I asked, keeping my voice low so the kids wouldn't hear. I don't have a problem, he said stiffly. Don't lie to me. You barely said 2 words to Marcus all day. At his daughter's birthday party. In his house. James's jaw tightened. I'm here, aren't I? I'm making an effort. No, you're making an appearance. There's a difference. What do you want from me, Sarah? You want me to pretend everything's fine? That our family wasn't torn apart because of your choices? My choices? I repeated, my voice rising despite my best efforts. You're still blaming me for standing up for my marriage? I'm blaming you for putting your relationship above your family. My husband is my family. Lily is my family. They should have been your family too, but you chose to stay stuck in the past with Mom and Dad's prejudice. Don't bring Mom and Dad into this. They're trying. And you're not. You're going through the motions, but you don't actually respect Marcus. You don't actually accept him. You just tolerate his presence because Mom and Dad decided to come around. James's face flushed. You don't know what I think or feel. Then tell me. Tell me why you can't look my husband in the eye. Tell me why you can barely stand to be in the same room as your niece's father. He was quiet for a long moment. Then, because I don't know how to reconcile the brother who was taught that we stick together no matter what, with the brother who's watching his sister choose a stranger over her own blood. Marcus isn't a stranger. He's my husband. The father of my child. And the fact that you still see him that way after 2 years tells me everything I need to know. Sarah. No. I'm done. I've been patient. I've been understanding. I've given you time and space and every opportunity to actually get to know the man I love. But you don't want to. You want to stay angry and righteous and comfortable in your judgment. That's not fair. Life isn't fair, James. I learned that when my family told me I had to choose between them and my happiness. I learned that when I spent a year cut off from everyone I loved because I refused to end my relationship. Where were you then? Where was your loyalty to family then? He didn't have an answer. That's what I thought, I said. You can leave now. And don't come back unless you're ready to actually be part of this family. The real family. Not the one you wish we were. He left without another word. My mother, who had overheard the whole thing, found me crying in the kitchen 20 minutes later. I'm sorry, she said. For what? You didn't do anything. I raised him that way. I taught him that blood is thicker than anything else. That loyalty to family means sacrificing everything else. I gave him those values, and now he's using them against you. It's not your fault he can't evolve. Isn't it? She sat down next to me at the kitchen table. Sarah, I need to tell you something. Something I should have told you months ago. I looked up at her. When you first told us about Marcus, James was the only one who didn't immediately react negatively. He actually said, if Sarah's happy, that's what matters. But your father and we shut him down. We told him he was being naive. That he needed to think about the family's reputation, about what people would say. We pressured him to fall in line. Fresh tears spilled down my cheeks. Why are you telling me this? Because you need to know that his prejudice isn't entirely his own. We cultivated it. We reinforced it. And if there's any hope of fixing this, he needs to unlearn what we taught him. But that's his journey to make. What if he never makes it? Then that's his loss, my mother said firmly. He'll miss out on knowing a good man and watching his niece grow up. And you'll move forward without him. Just like you were prepared to move forward without all of us. Marcus found me later that night, after everyone had gone home and Lily was asleep. I was sitting in our backyard, staring at the stars, replaying the fight with James in my head. Hey, Marcus said softly, sitting down beside me on the porch steps. Hey. You okay? I don't know. Are you? He considered the question. I'm sad. For James. For what he's missing. But I'm not surprised. You knew he still felt that way? I could tell. The way he looks at me. The way he tenses up when I'm near. I've seen that look before, Sarah. I've been black in America my whole life. I know what barely concealed disgust looks like. My heart broke a little more. I'm so sorry. Don't be. You defended me. You stood up for us. That means everything. But it shouldn't have to be this hard. You shouldn't have to deal with my family's racism on top of everything else in this world. Marcus took my hand. You're right. I shouldn't. But this is the reality. And the question isn't whether it's fair, it's how we handle it. Together. How are you so calm about this? Because I'm not fighting for James's approval, he said. I already won the only battle that mattered, winning your heart. Everything else is just noise. I leaned against him. You're too good for this family. I'm exactly good enough for you, he corrected. And for Lily. That's all that matters. We sat there in silence for a while, just being together. You know what the irony is? I said finally. What? James has 3 kids. 3 beautiful, wonderful kids. And they absolutely adore Lily. At the party today, before everything went wrong, I watched them playing together. And those kids don't see color. They don't see anything except their cousin. But James is teaching them to see differences. He's passing on the same poison our parents passed to us. Then we make sure Lily knows different, Marcus said. We teach her that love is love. That family is who you choose. That skin color is just melanin, not morality. She's lucky to have you as a father. We're all lucky to have each other, he said. Even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard. 3 months after the birthday party incident, something shifted. James's oldest daughter, Emma, who was 7, asked her parents why they didn't visit Aunt Sarah and Uncle Marcus more often. According to my sister, who told me this story later, Emma had been talking about Lily nonstop. About how much fun she had playing with her cousin. About how Uncle Marcus taught her a magic trick. About how she wanted to go back and visit. And when James tried to deflect, tried to make excuses, Emma looked at him and said, "Don't you like Uncle Marcus, Daddy?" James, caught off guard by his daughter's directness, didn't know what to say. Because I like him, Emma continued. He's nice. And he makes Aunt Sarah smile. And Lily looks like both of them, which I think is really pretty. Out of the mouths of babes. My sister said James didn't say anything for the rest of the night. But the next day, he called her and asked if she thought it was too late to fix things with me. She told him it was never too late, but it would take work. He showed up at our door on a Saturday morning, alone. Marcus answered. I was upstairs giving Lily a bath. Hey, James said awkwardly. Hey, Marcus replied, equally awkward. Can I come in? Marcus stepped aside. By the time I came downstairs, they were sitting in our living room in uncomfortable silence. James? I said, surprised. What are you doing here? He stood up. I came to apologize. To both of you. I looked at Marcus, who gave me a slight nod. Okay, I said slowly, sitting down. I'm listening. James took a breath. I've been a coward. And a hypocrite. I stood by and let our parents pressure you, judge you, try to control your life. And then when they came around, I didn't. Because. He struggled with the words. Because it was easier to stay angry than to admit I was wrong. James. Please, let me finish. I was wrong. About Marcus. About your marriage. About everything. I let my own fear and prejudice cloud my judgment, and I hurt you. I hurt both of you. And I'm teaching my kids the same toxic crap we were taught, and I don't want that. I don't want Emma to grow up thinking love has conditions. Marcus leaned forward. What changed? Emma, James said simply. My 7-year-old daughter asked me why I don't like you. And I couldn't answer her. Because the truth is, I don't know you well enough to not like you. I just decided not to know you because it was easier than confronting my own biases. So you're here because your daughter called you out? I asked. I'm here because my daughter is braver and kinder than I am, James said. And I want to be better. For her. For all my kids. For you. I want to actually be your brother again, Sarah. And I want to get to know my brother-in-law. If you'll let me. I looked at Marcus again. This was his decision as much as mine. Marcus stood up and extended his hand. Fresh start? James looked at the offered hand, then at Marcus's face, and I saw something break in his expression. I don't deserve. Fresh start, Marcus repeated firmly. Yes or no? James took his hand. And then, unexpectedly, pulled Marcus into a hug. I'm sorry, he said, his voice muffled. I'm so sorry. Marcus hugged him back. Apology accepted. But you're on probation. Mess this up and Sarah will kill you. James laughed, a wet sound. Fair enough. I watched my brother and my husband standing in our living room, and felt something ease in my chest that I hadn't even realized was tight. Emma can come over whenever she wants, I said. All your kids can. You too. Both of you, I added, referring to his wife. She wants to apologize too, James said. She's been following my lead on this. But she never felt right about it. Then bring her next time, Marcus said. We'll have dinner. Like a normal family. We're not really normal, are we? James said with a sad smile. No family is, I said. But we can try. That was 8 months ago. Since then, James has become a regular presence in our lives. Not just showing up for obligatory holidays, but actually being present. He takes Lily to the park. He and Marcus watch football games together. He asks questions and listens to the answers. It's not perfect. Sometimes I catch him struggling with something. A moment where his old conditioning tries to reassert itself. But he catches himself now. Corrects himself. Grows. My sister and her husband have been slower to come around, but they're trying. They came to Lily's third birthday party last month and actually stayed for more than an hour. Tom has become Lily's favorite uncle. He's teaching her Spanish, his wife is from Mexico, and guitar and all sorts of things. His acceptance was never in question, but his active love and participation has been a gift. My parents continue their own journey. My father and Marcus have developed an unexpected friendship over their shared love of terrible dad jokes and fishing. My mother spoils Lily relentlessly, and I think sees in her granddaughter a chance to do things right this time. But the biggest change has been in my mother and father's relationship with each other. The revelation about David forced them to confront their entire marriage. They went to therapy. They had hard conversations. They admitted things that had been buried for decades. And here's the surprising part, they're closer now than they've been in years. Not because the revelation magically fixed everything, but because they finally stopped pretending. They acknowledged the truth, that their marriage wasn't built on passion, but on compromise and comfort and companionship. And they decided that was okay. That they could build something real on that foundation if they were honest about it. My father told me once, during a quiet moment at a family barbecue, I may not have been your mother's first choice, but I'm choosing to be her best choice for the rest of our lives. It was probably the most romantic thing I'd ever heard him say. Last week, Marcus and I celebrated our 4th wedding anniversary. We got my parents to babysit Lily, something that would have been unthinkable 3 years ago, and went out to dinner at the restaurant where we had our first date. Sitting across from him, watching candlelight flicker across his face, I thought about everything we'd been through to get here. The threats. The ultimatums. The year of silence. The slow, painful reconciliation. The ongoing work of maintaining boundaries and building bridges. What are you thinking about? Marcus asked, reaching across the table to take my hand. About how much we've survived, I said. About how we're still here. Still choosing each other. Every day, he agreed. Even the hard days. Especially the hard days. Do you have any regrets? He asked. I thought about it. Really thought about it. No, I said finally. I mean, I wish it had been easier. I wish my family had accepted you from the beginning. I wish Lily could have grown up with all her relatives loving her unconditionally from day one. But I don't regret choosing you. I've never regretted it. Not for a single second. Even when it was just us? When we'd lost everyone else? Especially then, I said. Because that's when I learned that us was enough. That we could build a life and a family from scratch if we had to. And knowing we could survive the worst and still love each other, that makes everything else easier. Marcus's eyes got a little shiny. I love you so much. I love you too. More than I did yesterday. Less than I will tomorrow. He laughed. That's the cheesiest thing you've ever said. I know. I've been spending too much time with your mom. She's rubbing off on me. She does give the best love advice. She really does. We sat there, holding hands across the table, and I thought about Marcus's mother. About how she'd welcomed me into her family without hesitation, without conditions, without judgment. About how she'd shown me what unconditional love looked like. Your mom asked me something the other day, I said. What? She asked if we were thinking about having another baby. Marcus's eyebrows went up. Are we? I don't know. Are we? I think, he said slowly, that I would love to have another child with you. But only if you want to. Only if we're ready. I want Lily to have a sibling, I admitted. I want her to have what I had, built-in friends and playmates and people who understand her in ways no one else can. Even if those relationships are complicated sometimes. Even if they threaten to disown her for falling in love with the wrong person? Marcus asked with a wry smile. Well, hopefully we'll do a better job with our kids than our parents did with us, I said. Hopefully Lily will never have to choose between her family and her heart. She won't, Marcus said firmly. We'll make sure of it. We did have another baby. A son. We named him David. When I told my mother the name we'd chosen, she stared at me for a long moment, tears streaming down her face. You didn't have to do that, she whispered. I know, I said. But I wanted to. He should be remembered. The love you had should be honored, not buried in shame and regret. And maybe this David will get to live the life that David never got to live. She held my son for the first time and sobbed. Deep, wrenching sobs that came from 35 years of buried grief. My father stood beside her, his hand on her shoulder, and he cried too. Not from jealousy or anger, but from compassion. From understanding. They'd done the work. They'd faced the truth. And now they could grieve together for the roads not taken, while still honoring the road they'd walked. David is 6 months old now. Lily is 3.5, and she's obsessed with her baby brother. She brings him toys, sings to him in her off-key toddler voice, and gets fiercely protective when anyone holds him for too long. That's my brother, she announces to anyone who will listen. Marcus and I watch our children together and marvel at what we've built. 2 little humans who will grow up knowing that love comes in all colors, that family is defined by choice as much as blood, that standing up for what you believe in is worth the cost. Last Sunday, we had everyone over for dinner. My parents. My siblings and their families. Marcus's mom and sister. Tom's wife and their new baby. 23 people crammed into our house and backyard, laughing and eating and playing with the kids. James was showing David a magic trick. My sister was helping Lily decorate cupcakes. Tom and Marcus were arguing good-naturedly about whether the new Star Wars movie was actually good or just nostalgic garbage. My mother and Marcus's mother were sitting together in the shade, sharing stories about their grandchildren and their lives. My father was grilling burgers with Tom's father-in-law, both of them wearing ridiculous aprons that said Grill Master and Grill Sergeant. I stood on the porch with a glass of lemonade, watching this beautiful chaos, and felt overwhelmed with gratitude. Marcus came up behind me, wrapped his arms around my waist. What are you thinking? He asked. I'm thinking about that Sunday dinner 4 years ago, I said. The lasagna dinner. The ultimatum. The moment everything fell apart. You miss it? How things were before? No, I said firmly. I don't miss the lie. I don't miss pretending everything was fine when it wasn't. I don't miss the version of my family that loved me conditionally. But I'm grateful that we got here. That they chose to change. That we all did the work to rebuild into something more honest. Not everyone gets that chance, Marcus said quietly. I know. And I don't take it for granted. Every Sunday dinner we have like this, I remember that it almost didn't happen. That I almost lost all of them. And I'm grateful that they came back, but I'm more grateful that I didn't wait for them to come back. That I built my life anyway. Emma, James's daughter, ran up to the porch. Aunt Sarah. Uncle Marcus. Come on. We're gonna play soccer and we need more players. You go, I told Marcus. I'll be there in a minute. He kissed my cheek and went to join the impromptu soccer game in the backyard. I watched him scoop up Lily and put her on his shoulders while Emma and her siblings organized teams. Watched my father show David a butterfly that had landed on the porch railing. Watched my mother and Marcus's mother laughing together like old friends. This was what I'd fought for. Not the reconciliation, necessarily. That was a bonus. A gift. What I'd fought for was the right to choose my own life. To love who I wanted to love. To build the family I wanted to build. And if my birth family had never come around, if they'd stuck to their ultimatum and I'd spent the rest of my life without them, I would still have this. Marcus. Lily. David. Marcus's family. The friends who'd stood by us. The life we'd built from love instead of obligation. That would have been enough. That is enough. Everything else, the reconciliation, the healing, the Sunday dinners with 23 people, that's abundance. That's grace. That's the universe saying, you made the hard choice, and here's a reward you didn't even ask for. But I want you to understand something important. That reward isn't guaranteed. If you're facing a similar choice, if your family is giving you an ultimatum between them and the person you love, I can't promise you they'll come around like mine did. Some families never do. Some people are so entrenched in their prejudice, so committed to their narrow worldview, that they'll choose their hate over their love for you. And if that happens, it will hurt. God, it will hurt like nothing you've ever experienced. The grief of losing your family while they're still alive is a unique kind of agony. But you will survive it. You will build a new family. You will create new traditions. You will find people who love you without conditions, who celebrate your love instead of condemning it. And someday, maybe years from now, you'll be standing in your backyard watching your children play, and you'll realize that you're not just surviving, you're thriving. You're happy. You chose right. My mother pulled me aside later that evening, after most people had gone home. We were cleaning up together, loading the dishwasher in comfortable silence. I need to tell you something, she said suddenly. I looked up from rinsing a plate. I'm proud of you, she said. Not just for choosing Marcus, though that too. I'm proud of you for being strong enough to lose us. For not needing our approval to live your life. Mom. I mean it. I've spent years needing everyone's approval. My mother's. My friends. The church. The community. I built my entire identity around being what other people expected me to be. And it made me small. Safe, maybe, but small. She set down the dish towel she'd been holding. You were never small, she continued. Even as a little girl, you were so sure of yourself. So confident in your own mind. I used to worry about it, actually. Worried that your independence would lead you into trouble. And it did, didn't it? I said with a sad smile. Led me right into loving someone you didn't approve of. It led you into living authentically, she corrected. Into building a life that's yours, not mine or your father's or anyone else's. And watching you do that. Watching you stand firm even when it cost you everything, it's changed me, Sarah. It's made me braver. How? I'm making different choices now. Small ones, maybe, but they matter. I'm speaking up when I disagree with your father instead of just going along. I'm pursuing hobbies I actually enjoy instead of ones that look good. I'm being honest with my friends about my struggles instead of pretending everything's perfect. She laughed, a little watery. Last week, I told the ladies at church that I was tired of organizing the bake sale every year, and someone else should have a turn. You should have seen their faces. Like I'd announced I was running away to join the circus. I smiled. Good for you, Mom. I'm 60 years old, and I'm just now learning how to be myself. But you've known how to do it your whole life. And now you're teaching Lily and David the same lesson. They'll never have to spend 60 years figuring out who they are apart from other people's expectations. That's the plan, I said softly. She pulled me into a hug. Thank you for not giving up on Marcus. And thank you for eventually not giving up on us either. We didn't deserve a second chance, but I'm so grateful you gave us one anyway. You're my mom, I said simply. I love you. Even when I hate what you do, I love who you are underneath it all. I love you too, sweetheart. So much. That night, after everyone had left and the kids were in bed, Marcus and I collapsed on the couch together. That was a lot of people, he said. That was a lot of family, I corrected. Same thing. Not always. But today? Yeah. Today it was. We sat in tired silence for a moment. Do you ever think about what you'd tell your past self? Marcus asked. If you could go back to that Sunday dinner 4 years ago, right before you told them about me? I considered the question. I think I'd tell her that it's going to hurt worse than she can imagine. That she's going to cry herself to sleep for weeks. That she's going to doubt her choice 1,000 times. That's depressing. But then I'd tell her that it's also going to be okay. Better than okay. That the pain is temporary but the love is permanent. That she's stronger than she knows, and the man she's fighting for is worth every tear, every sleepless night, every moment of doubt. Marcus pulled me closer. What would you tell my past self? I'd tell him to brace himself. That loving me comes with complications he never signed up for. That he's going to face racism and rejection and having to prove himself to people who should accept him automatically. And that he should do it anyway. That the woman he's going to meet at that wedding is going to change his life in the best possible way. That they're going to build something beautiful together, even if the path to get there is rocky. I wouldn't change anything, Marcus said. Not a single thing. Not even the hard parts. Because they made us who we are. Really? You wouldn't change the part where my family was horrible to you? Not even that. Because it showed me who you really are. It's easy to love someone when everything's perfect. It's easy to commit when there are no obstacles. But you chose me when it cost you everything. And that means more than any easy love ever could. I kissed him. Long and slow and full of gratitude. For years married, I said when we finally broke apart. And I love you more now than I did on our wedding day. Same, he said. But ask me again in another 4 years. I bet I'll love you even more then. It's a date. So that's the story. That's what happened when my family threatened to disown me and my husband. I lost them for a while. And it was devastating. It was like having a limb amputated. I could still feel them there, still reached for them automatically, still experienced the phantom pain of their absence. But I survived it. I built a life without them. A beautiful, full, meaningful life. And then, through a combination of truth and time and their own growth, they came back. Not all of them, not all the way, but enough. Enough to have Sunday dinners together. Enough to watch my children grow up knowing their grandparents. Enough to rebuild something honest instead of maintaining something false. But here's what I need you to understand, the happy ending isn't that they came back. The happy ending is that I was okay either way. The happy ending is that I chose love and built a life I'm proud of, regardless of their approval. The happy ending is Marcus. Is Lily. Is David. Is the family we created together, with or without my family's blessing. Everything else is just extra. Beautiful, wonderful, gratitude-inducing extra. But not the point. The point is that you are allowed to choose your own happiness. You are allowed to love who you love. You are allowed to set boundaries with people who make your love conditional. Even if those people are your parents. Even if they're your siblings. Even if they raised you and fed you and paid for your education. You don't owe anyone your life. You don't owe anyone your heart. You don't owe anyone your future. My mother learned that lesson at 60, after wasting decades on regret. I learned it at 28, just in time to save myself from the same fate. And Lily and David will learn it from birth. They'll grow up knowing that love is a choice you make every day. That family is built on respect and acceptance, not just shared DNA. That sometimes the bravest thing you can do is walk away from people who refuse to see your worth. They'll never have to choose between love and family approval. Because we're teaching them they're the same thing. Last night, I was putting Lily to bed and she asked me a question out of nowhere. Mama, why is David's skin different from mine? I took a breath, ready to have this conversation even though she's only 3.5. Because Daddy's skin is darker than mine, I said. And sometimes babies look more like one parent than the other. You have skin that's more like mine, and David has skin that's more like Daddy's. Oh, she said, processing this. Is that good? It's not good or bad, baby. It just is. Like how you have brown eyes and David has green eyes. It's just different. I like Daddy's skin, she announced. It's pretty. Like chocolate. I smiled. It is pretty. All skin is pretty. Even Grandma's wrinkly skin? I laughed. Yes, even Grandma's wrinkly skin. Because skin is just the outside. What matters is the inside. The heart. Daddy has a good heart, Lily said seriously. He gives the best hugs. He really does. When I grow up, I'm gonna marry someone with a good heart too. Like Daddy. That's all that matters, baby. The heart. Not what they look like or what color their skin is or where they're from. Just if they're kind and if they make you happy. And if they give good hugs, Lily added. And if they give good hugs, I agreed. She yawned and snuggled into her pillow. I love you, Mama. I love you too, sweet girl. So much. I sat there after she fell asleep, watching her breathe, and felt such fierce hope for her future. She'll face challenges, of course. Being mixed race in America comes with its own set of difficulties. She'll have to navigate questions of identity and belonging. She'll probably face racism at some point, despite our best efforts to protect her from it. But she'll also have something I didn't have, parents who chose love over fear. Parents who modeled courage and authenticity. Parents who showed her that you can survive losing everything as long as you don't lose yourself. She'll be okay. They'll both be okay. And if they're not, if they struggle, if they face impossible choices, Marcus and I will be there. Not to make the choice for them, but to support whatever choice they make. To love them unconditionally. The way all parents should, but not all parents do. So here's my final thought, the thing I want you to take away from this story. Your family's love shouldn't come with conditions. But if it does, that's on them, not you. You are not responsible for their prejudice. You are not responsible for their closed-mindedness. You are not responsible for their inability to accept your happiness. You are only responsible for your own life, your own choices, your own integrity. And if choosing love means losing people, even people you love, then you lose them. You grieve them. And then you build something new. Something better. Something that's entirely yours. My family threatened to disown me and my husband. For a year, they made good on that threat. And you know what? I survived. More than survived, I thrived. Because I had Marcus. I had his family. I had friends who became family. I had the strength I'd built from choosing myself over their approval. When they came back, I welcomed them. I gave them a chance to earn their place in my life again. But I didn't need them to come back to be happy. I was already happy. They just got to be part of that happiness instead of missing out on it. That's the difference between the choice I made and the choice my mother made 35 years ago. She chose security and spent decades in regret. I chose love and built a life of meaning. She eventually found her way to a kind of peace with her choice. But I've never needed peace with mine, because I've never doubted it. Not for a second. Not for a moment. Not even when it hurt the most. So if you're facing the same choice, if someone you love is giving you an ultimatum, if you're being forced to pick between family and happiness, I can't tell you what to do. But I can tell you that choosing love is never wrong. Even when it costs you everything. Even when it hurts more than you thought possible. Even when you're left standing alone with nothing but your integrity and your choice. You'll rebuild. You'll find your people. You'll create a life that's worth living. And someday, maybe, the people you lost will find their way back to you. Or maybe they won't. Either way, you'll be okay. Because you chose yourself. You chose love. You chose truth over comfort. And that's always, always the right choice. My name is Sarah. I'm 36 years old. I'm married to the love of my life. I'm the mother of 2 beautiful children. I'm a daughter and a sister and a friend. And I'm happy. Not despite my choices, but because of them. That's what happened when my family threatened to disown me. I called their bluff, built a life anyway, and discovered that I was strong enough to survive losing them. And eventually, they came back. But the real victory wasn't the reconciliation. It was learning that I never needed their permission to be happy in the first place. If this story made you feel something, if Sarah's courage impressed you, if you are someone who fights for love or know someone like that, please subscribe to the channel. Because every day, we tell extraordinary stories of ordinary people like you. Love stories, betrayal stories, courage stories. Real dramatic stories. Real emotions. Real outcomes. Press the subscribe button. Turn on notifications. And see you again in the next story. Because the most beautiful stories of life come from lived experiences. We just tell them.